Today we're going to look at an expansion tank sizing using the Bell & Gossett ESP Systemwize program. We're going to select a pre-charged bladder tank, which has a removable bladder, and we're going to assume an example of a 4-story building. We're going to assume that the tank is located with the boilers on the main floor. It's a hydronic heating system. The fill pressure is 40 degrees, which is the go-to default temperature in Michigan and northern Ohio. The design temperature of the system is 140 to 180. The system volume is 1,200 gallons, and we're going to change it from water to 40% propylene glycol. Since we're at the bottom of a 4-story building, the fill pressure will be 25 psig, and the maximum pressure at the bottom of the system will be 75 psig. This gives us an allowable pressure increase of 50 psig. Let's go ahead and start sizing with Systemwize. Here we have the Bell & Gossett ESP Systemwize program. If we take a look on the left side here, it normally defaults to pumps, but we're going to move down to expansion tanks. When we get to expansion tanks, we have a choice of plumbing or HVAC, and we're going to use the HVAC tanks. This is a hydronic heating system. Now we start to enter data in. The fill temperature, the default we mentioned was 40 degrees. And in our example, the maximum temperature is 180 degrees. Just a comment for the purists out there. Normally, by the book, it says to put in the average temperature. In this case, 140 to 180, the average temperature would be 160. That's because half of the temperature is the supply, half of the temperature is the return, and the average is the 160. However, when you have two-way valves in the system, if we don't have temperature reset, or if somebody changes it and leaves it at a set temperature of 180, in a beautiful spring day, if you send 180 degree water out, you are not going to get 140 degree water back. There's not much load, so the temperature will start to creep up on the return side, and you will start to approach this maximum temperature. So it will slightly oversize the tank, but at the same time, it gives you a little bit of safety factor, particularly if somebody operates it differently than you were expecting them to. So we'll leave it at 180. The fill pressure in our example is 25 psig. The maximum pressure was 75 psig, and the system volume was 1,200 gallons. It defaults to water, and I just wanted to show you something here. The tank volume is about 60 gallons if this was water, but we said we had 40% propylene glycol. So let's drop that in here, and notice that now the tank volume is 112 gallons. It would be a real problem if you forgot to change the fluid. Let's go ahead and click results. And let's take a look at the results. Bell & Gossett gives you a lot of different potential options. We're going to just look at the first two today. You could either use a D200 diaphragm tank or a B500 bladder tank. The difference being that the diaphragm tank has a actual tank volume and acceptance that are not the same, whereas the bladder, it has the same acceptance and tank volume. The bladder tank has a removable bladder. The diaphragm does not. It has to be thrown away if there's a problem. And the real issue is there's a lot less cost involved with the D200, but what you want to be careful of is, will it fit through a door if you have to replace it? In this particular case, it's a relatively small tank, so the D200 would be a perfectly viable solution. You're going to end up saving some money and it'll work fine. So that is the sizing of a diaphragm or bladder tank using the Bell and Gossett ESP Systemwize program. Thank you for listening.